This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Do you know that where you are and how things feel isn't how you want things to stay? Well, crank up the volume and get ready to cut the crap and start living the magic with Joanne Antoun and her specially selected guests. Welcome to the first day of the rest of your amazing life.
Wonderful. Welcome to Cut the Crap and Start Living the Magic. I'm your host, Joanne Antoun, your transformational expert and creator of CTC, the Life Transforming Combined Therapy Cocktail. I'm coming to you live from Cooma, Australia this morning, and I must say, feeling so very blessed. Being on the road so much means I rarely have the opportunity to come to you live from home. So for me, this is a real treat. Coming up shortly, I have a very special guest, Sarah McDouall. This gorgeous lady and dear friend of mine has an incredible story of real inspiration. I feel so incredibly blessed to witness miracles every day in my practice. Miracles that literally leave me in awe of just how powerful we human beings really are. The problem, I believe, is that we've forgotten just how incredible in our potential we are. Accessing our magnificence isn't a difficult thing. It's actually quite simple, and that's why people don't see it. It starts by simply being aware of your thoughts and the power of them. In June this year, through a CTC therapy session, I witnessed the miracle that is Sarah McDouall, a gorgeous soul that allowed herself to be set free of what had become a bombardment of constant and debilitating pain and illness. She chose to step fully into her power. She reclaimed her health there and then and has now become a CTC Master Therapist and is sharing it with the world. CTC, the Life Transforming Combined Therapy Cocktail, is life transforming. But what you must understand is that ultimately you are your own healer. The process of healing a personal illness or setting yourself free of those just as debilitating limiting beliefs is in fact a journey of personal empowerment. It's a part of your own personal journey, a rite of passage, and one of the greatest learning tools that you will ever encounter. Setting yourself free is ultimately the journey of the self to the self. Illness, physical pain, ailments, they come from a disconnect of part of ourselves from the core of our being. Somewhere, somehow, you've forgotten who you really are. Your unfulfilled longing, maybe your purpose. Your illness is often a catalyst to set you free to do and live how you've always wanted, to manifest and to express who you are from your deepest and highest self. If you discover yourself to be ill at all, prepare for change, inside and out. Expect yourself to ask soulful questions. Expect your deepest longing to surface. Prepare yourself to stop running and face that tiger within. This is your personal journey. You find yourself asking those deep questions. What is it that I long for? What do I long to be and do? What are the things I want to do that I haven't done yet? It is imperative that you deal with the deeper meaning of your illness, be it physical, mental, or emotional. What message does it have for you? What is it trying to teach you? What do you need to do in order to be free? The source is always the key, and CTC helps you discover that source. A return to health requires personal work and change. Without this, more issues within will be created, not ever to punish us, but to teach us. No matter what the pain, the problem, or the disease, it is a teacher, and possibly your greatest ever. A teacher of love designed to bring you back to yourself so that you can live your life the way that you were born to, with pure sacredness and with greatness. You're about to hear Sarah's story, her journey, what her illness taught her, the messages it had for her, the limiting beliefs that she needed to let go of in order to transcend the illness and to step fully into her power. Through CTC, Sarah accessed the source and was set free. Hi there, Sarah, and welcome.
Hi, Jo. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you so much, sweetheart. I'm so excited that you're wanting to share your story with our listeners. It's a wonderful learning tool for them as well. Absolutely. So, Sarah, the last few years for you have been such a roller coaster ride with more downs than ups. Could you please share with our listeners what life was like for you before your illness? So you were, very successful in your career. You were incredibly busy. What happened that made you then hit the deck so hard?
Yeah, well, so very busy. I was non-stop. I kind of had that type A personality, highly driven. I was working for a big company, big national company, and I was running big projects and being flat out. And I suppose I just never really thought about myself. I think a lot of us do that. We just kind of go in this fast motion of life. So I was just busy. I had I had Charlotte actually at the time when I set up a consultancy business, and just didn't stop really. So I guess, that's who I was. And then in 2012, in November, I actually was diagnosed with a malignant melanoma, and my life kind of was shattered into a million pieces. And at the time I had my second child, Hugh, who was only 8 months old. And, I kind of had to go through a huge, I guess it's been 3 years now, of massive soul searching and trying to get my way out of illness. So I actually got over the melanoma really quickly, but the stress from that, I had surgery and got over it. And then the stress from that, I contracted glandular fever. So again, I think it was the universe sort of telling me I should have stopped and I should have listened to the message and listened to my body to slow down and not, be this super mum and super person that I was trying to be.
Right. Now, I think if we can go back to when you were really busy with your career before the illness hit, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with being crazy busy as long as the busy is energizing you and it's something that you're passionate about, because that actually feeds us. What you were doing, were you getting signs in your old career? Were you getting messages and signs that maybe what you were doing, although you were being busy, wasn't living your purpose? Because there's a big difference, living your purpose and being busy, and just being busy doing other people's crap.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. So I definitely was, because I was overly stressed. So it wasn't, I enjoyed my job, but it definitely wasn't a pleasure or something that I wanted to do forever. And I didn't have that. When I went into work, I didn't have that sort of love for it. Yeah. I was there for other people, I suppose. And I was there for the reasons that I still had these limiting beliefs that I had to achieve. I had to be better all the time and, overachieve, I suppose.
Wonderful. And that's obviously what costs you your personal power, and that's what makes us sick. So if we're working in something that we're passionate about, no matter how long the hours are, if it nurtures you and it feeds your soul, it's good for you. But if it's costing you your soul and it's stressing you out and it's not your purpose, then it's obviously costing you a lot of your personal power and energy, and therefore, you had your wake-up call, which came in the form of illness.
Yeah, and I definitely had the messages before the big one, I think constantly. I would say I was definitely told to, slow down and, probably go down a different path much earlier. And I didn't listen, and then, melanoma.
Right. And so during this period of illness for you, what was life like? What were your thoughts like?
Yeah, so it was pretty horrible, I think, for the first 2 years. So once I got glandular fever, I actually had daily migraines for 2 years. And so I was in excruciating pain every single day. And at that point, all my doctors thought that I just had migraines. I'd had every scan to make sure it wasn't the melanoma, and I went through all of that. And then the 2 years later, I saw a physio that helped with the pain of my migraines and reduced them dramatically. And so then but I still had all these other symptoms, the chronic fatigue syndrome symptoms, the, no energy. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't lift my arms. I had days where I couldn't even have a shower to wash my hair. I'd have a chair in the shower, all those sorts of things. And they eventually diagnosed me with chronic fatigue syndrome. So that was in the sort of the beginning of, or the end of 2014, I suppose.
Right. And living in the depths of that darkness and what have you, I mean, obviously that would have mentally and emotionally caused you a huge amount of grief, and you would have lost even more power. What were you thinking at the time?
Yeah, well, it probably wasn't great. For the first 2 years, it was literally survival mode and a lot of stress. So I was at a point where, I just kept going for those first 2 years thinking, I've got to get out of this, I've got to get out of this. But then I got to a point where I just felt like I couldn't live anymore. Like I just couldn't be in that space and be in that pain. Just nothing was working. I was trying everything and I just felt like I was, just in a horrible way. And it's really, it's difficult to explain unless you've had chronic fatigue syndrome, because it's one of those illnesses that's, pretty misunderstood, I think. And, it really is an isolating illness. Only you can help yourself. And only you know yourself, I guess. And it made me really have to do some massive soul searching. So I got into a lot of self-help and, Louise Hay, and I was doing all those things. And it actually was, like, I can see my path now since CTC, but my path at the beginning of the year, I remember the turning point, and it was in February, and I was actually away having a break from the kids and trying to recoup. And I remember sitting on the couch which was a standard spot for me for 3 years. And, I said to myself, right, I've got 2 choices, and one of the choices wasn't good, and that would be not to be here. And the other choice was that I was going to recover. And I made the commitment to myself at that time that I would no longer think about anything negative in terms of my illness. So I actually Googled, and also that I wouldn't Google because there's a lot of rubbish out there on the internet about it. And so I just got on YouTube and I searched for successful recovery stories from CFS. And that was when Toby Morrison, who actually does an online program for the CFS, he popped up, and I watched all of his videos, and it was the start of my journey. It was the start of this needing to, his big thing is about your mindset, about, you can't get out of this big black hole unless your mind is right. And it's not about, what I worked out, it's not about being positive, all the time. I think, people would think that was a bit naive. You can't say, I believe you can't say, with chronic fatigue, oh, no, it's fine, I'm just going to forget about it and get over it. It doesn't work like that. It's about, accepting where you're at with the chronic fatigue and then coming up with solutions and visualising that better life. So I started doing that, but I was still really stuck. Like, I still had all of these fears. I was just riddled with fear and, completely understandable. But when you are in debilitating pain, like chronic pain every single day, it's hard to have that, positive attitude to move forward. And all I could think about was not seeing my kids grow up, the thought of, being in pain for the rest of my life. And, and I sort of had this, this real fear of being alive. So I didn't have a fear of dying. I had this fear of living with chronic fatigue, with the pain.
Right. So that became one of the programs that you were constantly playing day in and day out.
It was, yeah.
And we know that our thoughts affect us neurochemically and then, of course, biochemically. So ultimately what you were doing was feeding the monster.
Exactly. And then that's what I started. I did, started doing more research, and I got into, in April actually, and this was another sign, and a really good sign, but in about March or April, both my father and my mother-in-law gave me The Brain's Way of Healing by Norman Doidge, the neurosurgeon. And it was all about neuroplasticity. And the fact that they both gave it to me in the same week was a big sign for me, because they didn't realise that they were both doing it. And my dad actually had listened to him on the ABC and said, I think you should have a look at this, says for pain management. And so I did, and I had a good look at him. So I started doing some of those strategies, and I had already been a big meditator, so I knew that the only way out of my pain was to meditate. It was the only time I didn't have pain. So I started thinking, well, if I don't have pain when I meditate, then how can I create that all the time, that state?
Bring that into your 24/7.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did some of his Norman's techniques, and it really helped with my migraines. So, again, I went down that path and looking into that, but still, again, riddled with this fear. I was finding that I was progressing with my recovery. The online recovery was helping. I was doing homeopathy. I had every natural thing under the sun. I was seeing great doctors, and little bits were helping, but I would still crash, and I was still having moments where I'd be up for a week, down for 3, and they were getting better, but there was still something blocking me. And then that's when I'd been following Amy Crawford, another fellow CTCer, and I just started looking at her story, and she'd had chronic fatigue syndrome as well, and I thought, okay, well, I'll read a bit more of her story and see what she did, and that was CTC. So I then looked into you and watched every single video of yours, and it just really resonated, because it was that whole, I knew that I needed to get my body and mind together, because they were in opposition, and I was already, I'd already sort of had worked out that I needed to have them connected so that, everything could flow from there. And when I looked at you, I just thought, right, it's really suited to my path and my journey. And then, that's sort of where we got to with CTC.
Yeah, so you'd been trying various therapies, but you'd also made dietary changes as well, hadn't you?
Yeah, so I'd been seeing an integrative GP, and I'd been doing every single diet possible, all the gut health. I've been sending various tests to America, mitochondrial tests, just everything. I tried it all, to be honest. And I was also known as the complicated case, and I had, severe chronic fatigue. So I was diagnosed with obviously being housebound. I'm not as bad. This is the thing, and this is what you learn, is that there are people out there that are a lot worse than you in every situation. But I was pretty sick, so I was fairly housebound and bedbound, and I was about 20% functioning to my normal function.
Yeah, okay. So, and this is the thing though, I believe people in the nurturing industry, be they doctors, therapists or whatever, really need to be careful about what they say to their clients, because if a doctor tells you you're a complicated case,
exactly,
you're going to plug your energy into that, you're going to buy into that, and you are going to believe you're a complicated case. So therefore healing can't happen as quickly for you as it might happen for other people, because of the new belief that you now have.
Oh, exactly. And that's exactly what happened. And the next, the more doctors I'd go to, the more they'd say, oh, this usually works on my patients and it's not working on you. So I had that ingrained in me. It was like, well, I'm just a complicated case. It's not going to work for me. And they were the beliefs I had, that I wouldn't be cured, that I would, that nothing would work.
And how about a time frame? Did anybody say to you, well, you're going to feel like this for, X amount of time, or it'll take us X amount of time to get you better? Did anybody...
Yeah, not for a long time, and I think that was the hardest, was that, with chronic fatigue syndrome, it said that there's no cure for it, but that's because there's no drug that you can just take and be better. Well, that's what, in the medical world. so I had this fear, okay, well, there's no cure, but I didn't realise that you actually can recover, and a lot of people do recover. My doctors never really said when I would recover until I went to one of the top chronic fatigue specialists in Sydney, and he was actually incredibly positive, and he said, on a trajectory, you should recover, because it was post-viral chronic fatigue syndrome, in the next 2 to 3 years. Like, he kind of gave me that range. But even saying that, and he did say, look, you could recover quicker than that, but it's about the 2 to 3 years, and you need to do this SET program, which was kind of like the online program that I was doing already.
Yeah. But I mean, look, the facts are, though, that a lot of people are curing themselves of the incurable all the time, and in a moment in time too. So, I think for us humans, we do need to remember that we ultimately are our own healers, and how quickly change happens and how quickly we can regain our health is something that we contribute to.
Oh, exactly. And I totally agree with that. And I'm just such a big believer in the mindset. And I think, a lot of people that have recovered from chronic illness would say exactly that. You have to have your mind in the right place. And that, as I alluded to before, it's not about being positive. It's about just having everything in motion, really believing what you're saying to yourself, you know?
Yeah, and being free of all those limiting beliefs and what have you that are actually toxic and feeding the illness.
Exactly, and that's what CTC did for me. Like, it was just amazing.
So realistically, what were you hoping for when you booked and came to the CTC session?
Do you know what? I still had that massive fear of it not going to work, because that's how everything had been. But I remember, because I spoke to you in April and on the phone, and we had a great 10-minute phone conversation, and you were amazing because you just got it all and got me. And I remember after that just making small changes and thinking, I'm not going to say that it's not going to work, or this is going to work. But really looking back, I had a bit of doubt, of course, because I'd had that ingrained in me. And then I just thought that, and in the hope that it would, just clear everything. But I didn't have the highest hopes of what it actually did for me.
Wonderful. Well, I'd love to talk to you more about the session. We're going to a break now. I'm Joanne Antoun, and you're listening to Cut the Crap and Start Living the Magic. Here with my special guest, Sarah McDouall. Do visit her site at thesingingfrog.com.au. Stay tuned, folks. Coming up after the break is more awesome conversation with Sarah, and she has a very generous giveaway. We'll be right back with more.
Joanne Antoun, transformational expert, founder and creator of CTC, the 2-hour life-transforming combined therapy cocktail, more fondly known as Cut the Crap, is coming to the USA. Become a CTC Master Therapist, transform your life and the lives of others. Join the team of transformation in 2016. Choose to live a life you love and love what you do. For more information and a scholarship opportunity, visit iictc.net.
Are you after a speaker, a trainer, a motivator that packs punch? Someone to motivate your team? Joanne Antoun, your transformational expert and creator of CTC, the 2-hour life-transforming combined therapy cocktail, or more fondly known as Cut the Crap, is your lady. One of Australia's most sought-after speakers, Joanne will have you sitting at the edge of your seat wanting more. This lady is direct and so beautifully weaves inspiring and motivational stories into her teaching that are sure to motivate your team and create at least a few ahas. No fluff here, this lady brings spirituality down to earth with grace and style. If where you are and how you feel isn't how you want things to stay, then this lady is for you. Visit joanneantoun.com for more details.
Welcome back to Cut the Crap and Start Living the Magic. I'm Joanne Antoun. Today I'm speaking with the gorgeous Sarah McDouall. Now, just before we left off, Sarah, we were talking about your experience with the CTC session and the issues that you had on your list, or the issues that you brought to your to the table. Can we discuss those, please?
Yeah, sure. So I had a lot, but the main ones around the illness were definitely the fear of living with CFS. I had the belief that I'd always have chronic fatigue syndrome, and a big fear of not being the mum that I wanted to be, and that fear that I wouldn't be able to do all the things you want to do as a mum. And just being a burden was another one, and the belief that nothing I try for my health works.
Right.
And that I was a complicated case.
Yeah, of course. So when you go and try different therapies and you have that deep-seated belief that no matter what you try, it doesn't really work anyway, then of course you get exactly what you put out there, and what you try doesn't really work anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
So you had been living this constant pattern, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And this patterns in my belief system and also in my illness, because I just felt like I had this constant circle of the same thing happening, you know, the crashing, and then I had the belief that I crashed because I did certain things, and then that would just escalate into, you know, this constant pattern of life. Yeah.
Of course, because what you believe is true for you. So if you believe that if you do that a particular way and you're going to crash, then of course you do that particular way and you will crash.
Yeah.
So what about the messages that came from your illness? I'm sure we would have done one of the processes where we got in touch with the illness, you know, what reason it was here, what message it had for you. Do you recall that at all?
Yeah, so one of the big things was obviously to release the fear, to embrace life. So I believe it was like live in the moment, or, I can't think now, but it was, like to embrace life. So releasing fear, to embrace my life, and to do what I was always, you know, born to be, to do.
Yeah.
Was a big one, yeah.
Right. So during the session, we freed you of those limiting beliefs and fears that you'd had. Then, of course, we got you in touch with the illness. Once you understood the message it had for you, the reason it was here, what you needed to do in order for it to go away, you then committed and took action. So, I mean, look, I have to say, you totally blew me away during that session. I see miracles every day, but far out, lady.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you, because for me to have that.
No, well, thank you, because you let it happen. At the end of the day, we're facilitating an incredible process, and you as a CTC therapist know that the process itself is fantastic, but ultimately everybody is their own healer, and they have to be ready and they have to let it happen.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in that. You have to be ready. You can't just decide. You know, I think a lot of us will, and I was doing it too for the first 2 years of my illness, I was expecting the magic pill. I was also expecting that someone else would do it for me, and that's not the case. It's always internal, and it's always, listening to those messages, doing what works for you, and getting that mindset right. Well, for me, it definitely was.
Yeah. So how did you feel during the session? What was going on for you mentally and emotionally?
I was excited, to be honest. So I remember I had this whole list, and I thought, again, that you would think this was just complicated. And then once we got started, it was absolutely amazing. Like from the beginning, I just released so much. I just felt so much lighter. And I just, knew it was going to work. And then and it took a little bit from when we finished. And then I just knew, wow, I felt so different. Everything was clear. You know, I just felt excited about things. I didn't have any of the fear. I remember rating all of the issues that I came in with, and they weren't there anymore. So I just, I was bouncing with energy.
Yeah, absolutely. You were like this young child. Now, I've got to ask you this next question because you literally did blow me away. I know that I said to you that you'd make a great therapist, but I was thinking that you might go home, get your life back together. You might consider the training next year, but not you. You actually made a decision and signed up on the spot. I mean, why do it? What did you love about it that made you decide to start training literally the next day?
Yeah, I just knew that I wanted to do it. I just knew that this was I'd had all the pieces of the puzzle, so to speak, that I was putting together for my own recovery, and this was the last piece, and this was the big one. This was definitely going to be my recovery, and I knew then that I wanted to share that with everyone. And it's not just people with chronic fatigue or chronic illness, it's with everyone. Once you clear those, I couldn't believe that I'd been holding on to some of this stuff since I was, 5. And, I'd carried these limiting beliefs. So I just felt that it was, I think, my calling. It was what I wanted to do. And I knew through my illness that particularly energy work and looking at increasing your vibration, I had a huge passion for that. And I have a huge passion for self-help and the brain. And this just fitted really well. And for signing up on the day, I think now, and I go, wow, it is quite amazing that I did that. It blows me away, but it just felt right. And I knew I had my life back. So,
yeah. Well, the very next day when you attended the Reiki 1 training, you had more energy than the rest of us put together. I just remember you being like this bubbly child bouncing all over the place. And one of the other therapists, Eliza, I remember her actually saying, she's a naturopath, I remember her actually saying that I almost need proof that you were unwell yesterday because...
I know. She kept saying to me, you sure you had chronic fatigue syndrome? I was like, yep, you can ask my doctors, yep. But, so that was really exciting for me. And then I obviously... after the session, so that it was all fantastic and I'd started the Reiki and everything. But then once I got home, I still had these, a few things that were still bubbling in my illness. And so I did have a few crashes after that, but it was totally different because what CTC did for me was it just meant that I made better choices. So I released all those fears. So when I did have these, times that I'd have to go to bed, it was just that I had to go to bed. It wasn't, oh my God, I'm going to crash. I'm going to be in this space for months. I'm going to be, back to where I was. I just didn't have that. And then because I'd released all of that stress, I was able to heal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then I also put in that new program. So, you with CTC, it cleans that slate. And so then you put in the new program. And that's the really important thing, I think, is that you can't just leave your CTC session. And yes, you'll feel lighter and things will, be more amazing and you've raised your vibration and you've got that clean slate. But then you have to do the work to make sure that you don't go back to your old habits.
Absolutely. And that's as simple as working with the affirmation pages,
exactly.
being aware of what you think, what you say, what you believe, because they become the new program. So CTC ultimately gets rid of the old software and programs that don't serve you, but then it's up to you to put those new programs in. So when you went home then, you then changed your way of thinking from I'm having a CFS moment to I'm having a human moment.
Exactly, yeah. And I did that. I put my illness into every step that I took I just made sure that I went, right, okay, so I've got a headache today. I've just got a headache. I don't have CFS with a headache that causes the nervous system issues that causes this and this and this. I just dealt with every little thing at a time.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, I know that we had hoped to have Hamish, your gorgeous husband, on today with us, but duty calls. So,
yes.
He must feel elated to have you, his wife, back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's incredible. So, and he really wanted to be on here today too, but he was just blown away. And, he says to me that CTC, and he said it to you, that CTC gave him his wife back and my kids their mum back, which is just so beautiful. And it's true. And just and it is. It's making those, sorry, I'm a bit emotional, but making those, better choices. And that's what he said. It's my mental attitude as well to everything. So just, I think it's fabulous. It's great.
Wonderful. And he also had a CTC session as well.
He did, yep.
Fantastic. Now, I'd love to chat with you a little about your experience of the training. Of course, you went on, you've done the training. How did it feel for you during the training to not only learn the stuff you did, but to facilitate the transformation of others? You know, what you witnessed, the changes, the breakthroughs. Could you share with us a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, the training was incredible because I sort of went in with the attitude that, yes, I would be a therapist, but I said, right, I'll just do it for my own personal development initially. And then I'll see what pans out. But now, I mean, obviously now it's a totally different story and I want to share it with the whole world. But when we went in, we all, started thinking that our slates were pretty clean because we'd all done CTC sessions or had a very good idea of what it entailed. But it was incredible, like what we actually released, still through that time. And definitely the most amazing experience I've had to be part of that and to witness that and to, really help people break through things that were holding them back.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And, like you said, you were creating lists during the training and we were pulling stuff up from the depths of little things, big things. And, the whole idea obviously is that we do keep on, adding to the list. So you guys have got things to practice with. But where people are like onions, we have layers.
That's a really good point. And that's how I always thought of my, that's how we were talking about it actually in training. And that's exactly right. And that's how I felt with my recovery, because with my first CTC session, I, was peeling the massive layers of the onion and I was getting to the really nitty gritty fears and those things. But then once I was, working over the next couple of months, the little bits of the onion were all coming out. And so the training just got rid of all of those things, all of the parts to them, the little tentacles of it, I suppose.
Wonderful. Well, I'd love to talk to you more about that. We're going to a break. I'm Joanne Antoun and you're listening to Cut the Crap and Start Living the Magic. I'm here with my special guest, Sarah McDouall. Do visit her site at thesingingfrog.com.au. Stay tuned, folks. Coming up after the break is more awesome conversation with this gorgeous lady and a very generous giveaway. We'll be right back with more.
Joanne Antoun, transformational expert, founder and creator of CTC, the 2-hour life-transforming combined therapy cocktail, more fondly known as Cut the Crap, is coming to the USA. Become a CTC Master Therapist, transform your life and the lives of others. Join the team of transformation in 2016. Choose to live a life you love and love what you do. For more information and a scholarship opportunity, visit iictc.net.
Do you know that where you are and how you feel isn't how you want things to stay? Do you want to be free of the past and all that holds you back? Well, you need CTC, the 2-hour life-transforming combined therapy cocktail, or more fondly known as Cut the Crap.
I have to admit, I was a bit sceptical, but CTC has rocked my world. My past issues, even my fear of public speaking is gone, and nothing can stop me now.
Because of CTC, I can honestly say that I'm good enough. I actually love myself.
It was awesome. I should have done it years ago. Now I know that I am the power in my world.
CTC gave me back my health. I cut the crap, and now I have my health and my life back.
To find a therapist or to join the team of transformation, visit iictc.net.
Welcome back to Cut the Crap and Start Living the Magic. I'm Joanne Antoun. FYI listeners, if you're considering a CTC training, I do have one coming up in Australia next year that begins with Reiki 1 in February, followed by Reiki 2 and CTC training in May. Also for our USA listeners, yep, I'm coming to Denver, Colorado, and you too can become a CTC therapist in June 2016. All you need to do is visit joanneantoun.com for details. So today I'm here with Sarah McDouall. Now, Sarah, when we left off, we were talking about the CTC training and the layers, so to speak. So during the training, you know, you became aware of other things. And I think the important thing that people know is whatever you bring with you, whatever's on your list and you bring with you to the CTC session is dealt with. But then, of course, you know, there might be other things. Life continues to happen. So we do have life challenges and what have you. So things down the track might be added to a list, or other things might emerge that you now want help with. So for you ladies at the CTC training, other things came up.
Yep.
And what were some of the deep-seated things that came up for you? Do you recall?
Yeah, well, another big one was to just let go of the pain and let go of the illness. So at this point, you know, I'd had the messages for how I was going to recover, but the last string was just let go of it, stop owning it, let go of it, and embrace a new life, and just trust in the flow of life, trust that everything will be okay. And so that was a big message for me. And also that I had recovered. I had so much energy in the training. I was just bounding with energy. I think we nicknamed me cooking popcorn, because I was literally like I was, you know, needed to put a little lid on it. Yeah, and so it was, yeah, for me, those big messages were just let it all go. Just, you know, love your life.
Absolutely. And it is about letting it go. And in doing so, you raise your vibration, right? And when whatever vibration you choose to live at, that's the quality of life and people you attract. So by simply raising your vibration, everything changes. And you did that. Your whole life is completely different now.
Oh, exactly. And that's it, you know, and I tried to do that before I did CTC. I really did, you know, I sort of thought I had that not mastered, but you can't do that. You cannot raise your vibration if you still have these limiting beliefs and these fears. So then once CT got rid of those, I truly raised my vibration and I believed it. So all the affirmations that I was saying to myself became my truth. They are my truth. And things just started to flow from there. So I remember after my, just before the training actually, after CTC, I saw two of my specialists, so my chronic fatigue specialist, and he said, you know, things are great and you're an easy case. And I remember those words and I went, oh my gosh, wow, because I'd had a total flip around. And again, I saw my integrative GP and she did a big test on my energy production and it all came back. She said, this isn't a chronic fatigue syndrome profile anymore. And so it all just started happening for me. All those things that I put in place and those, the therapies that I tried all started working. So the homeopathy started working. Another system that actually really complements CTC was the NES health system, and that was introduced by two people that had chronic fatigue syndrome, and it works on a similar way in that it clears the meridian paths, and then you just take pharmaceuticals that help build up your system. So, you know, it's not the same as CTC, but it actually just worked for me.
Yeah.
So all these things worked just to clear that slate and for everything just to happen. So it was great.
Yeah, well, no longer were you carrying the blockages that you had before, and that's what makes the difference.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how did you feel after doing your first full CTC on a real-life client? I mean, that realisation that seeing clients doesn't drain you, it actually energises you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was amazing because we, had been taught that in the training, and I could see parts of that because every time we'd work on one of the students, we'd get energised from that. But to do a whole 2.5 hour session was, incredible because you're healing yourself at the same time. And I really believe that. And we all came out buzzing. And I remember Hamish saying that to me as well. He said, I'm blown away with how good you all look in terms of your energy. You're just bubbling. It doesn't feel like you've done 2.5 hour session. You're buzzing with energy. It's amazing.
Fantastic. So tell me now about your desire and passion to transform the lives of others. You've had your healing and now you're wanting to do it with the world.
Yeah, so I have a big passion for this now, and it blows me away every day and every minute that how far I've come so quickly. So with the Singing Frog, I set that up pretty much after my CTC session, and it was to share my journey, and share what worked for me. And then also now it is CTC, and I have a vision to have meditation retreats and healing retreats here at Lecantarana and also across the world, so doing tours.
Fantastic. Now, why the Singing Frog? I have to ask you.
Yeah. So it's, quite symbolic, actually, the Singing Frog. So when Hamish and I actually went to South America 10 years ago, it's probably 11 now, but we went to, we had a year over 9 months in South America and then Europe. And when we were in South America, we went to a restaurant in Lima called La Cantarana, which is the Singing Frog in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And at this restaurant, it was amazing, and there was a ceviche dish that Hamish loved, and he would still to the day say that it's his favourite dish, and if it was his last dish on earth, then that would be it. And we sat there all afternoon chatting and talking about our future plans. And at that moment, we said that we would get a rural property and we would raise our kids on the land, embrace the land, and just love it. So 10 years on, we have that beautiful property, and we named it Lecantarana. And then the Singing Frog, for the totem frog, it also means that the lands are fertile, that they're balanced and they're in harmony. And if frogs are singing, it means rain. And so every farmer, obviously, loves rain.
Yes, of course.
Unless you're harvesting, like most of them at the moment. And then the spiritual totem is about rebirth, transformation and healing. And that's what I'm all about. And that's what the Singing Frog is all about. So,
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful. Now, Sarah actually has a very special offer for all of you listeners. It's an offer of a free CTC session for one lucky person who subscribes to her site over the next few days. So all you need to do is visit Sarah's website at thesingingfrog.com.au. That's thesingingfrog.com.au. Sign up, and the lucky person will be contacted directly on Monday, the 2nd of October. That's Tuesday the 3rd here in Australia. So, Sarah, getting back to your beautiful property, and it is such a fabulous name, talk to me about what you plan on offering from your property.
Yeah, so I guess that's the retreats that we'll be doing. So I would love to just having meditation and healing retreats, and really for it to be a place that people can get away, so either, from Sydney or anywhere really, their busy life, and realise that there's more to life, have a CTC session, be transformed and live a life that they want to live. So that's what that's what we'll be offering. And then also on the other side will be the farming part of it. So, we are hoping to implement, farming tours as well that we'll put in place as well. So it's a whole weekend or even longer to come and experience the singing frog. And then I also have a vision for doing the tours. So going to South America, experiencing is one of them. That's on the top of the list, is to experience the amazing energy over there and the amazing culture, and for people to share that with me. And that blows me away. Like for me, when I was really sick, I was doing lots of creative visualization, and part of that, my visualization was, I had an image, and one was playing on the beach with my kids. And I actually remember that coming up in my CTC session, and swimming in the ocean, being on the farm with my kids, and the other big one was travelling all over the world. And now it is amazing because next August I'm going to Thailand for the conference, the CTC conference with you and everyone else, and then South America at the end of the year. So for me to think that it's just happening, it's just my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're taking CTC literally on the road. And CTC is, it's an incredible therapy, but it is just as effective via Skype or in phone as it is in person. And so you obviously plan on doing your Skype sessions. People can actually have a Skype session with you, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yeah.
Wonderful.
And I've seen, and I've already seen amazing transformations with clients, and it just blows my mind. And that's exactly it. It doesn't matter if it's over Skype or in person. So it's perfect.
Wonderful. So again, for our listeners, Sarah has a very special offer of a free CTC session for one lucky person who subscribes to her site in the next couple of days. All you need to do is visit Sarah's website at thesingingfrog.com.au. That's thesingingfrog.com.au. Sign up, and the lucky person will be contacted directly on Monday, the 2nd of October. That's Tuesday the 3rd here in Australia. Now, also you can actually contact Sarah through her website if you're wanting to book in a CTC session with her directly. Sarah, what would be your key message to our listeners?
Key message would be let it all go. No.
Isn't that a song? I believe there's a song.
Yeah, exactly. No, don't get that in my head.
Go on.
Yeah, I think it's my big message would be to never give up, and there's always something to try. There's always something that is going to help you in your own recovery or the way that you're living your life. But also, just embrace it and, change that mind, because it really does change your life. It's that... so I think that's pretty much my message.
Fantastic. And listeners, I actually made a mistake. I did say the 2nd of October. It's actually the 2nd of November. Time is getting away. So I said that twice.
I didn't actually even pick that up.
No. So do go onto Sarah's website, do subscribe, and she will be contacting the lucky person that wins a free CTC session on Monday, the 2nd of November. Time is getting away from me far, far, far too quickly. So, Sarah, just to recap, if you were to, in a short sentence, explain your journey, the lessons, and where you're going, how would you explain that?
Okay.
So I've put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. So I guess for me, it was that... for my journey, it was making sure that I realised, that I could heal myself. So that we all have that innate ability to heal ourselves. And it was that constantly reminding myself of who I wanted to be and what I wanted, and never, ever thinking about what I don't want.
Okay. And where are you going?
Where am I going? Well, gosh, it's amazing, really. I'm going to be an amazing therapist and just living my life. I'm enjoying it. It's, enjoying my kids. I'm being the mum that I want to be, having energy. The world's my oyster. It totally is. So...
Fantastic. Now, where are you seeing clients from? We know that people can contact you and have a Skype session. Where would you actually be seeing in-person clients from?
Yep, so Central West, New South Wales, so anywhere in the Central West. And I'm located near Molong. And then also Sydney. So particularly the northern beaches, but anywhere in Sydney.
Fantastic.
Skype across the world. So I had an inquiry from Canada the other day, so it can happen wherever you are.
Absolutely. Sarah is there ready to transform your life. So to our listeners out there that might be considering a CTC training, I did mention earlier we have one coming up in Australia next year. It actually begins with a Reiki 1 training in February, followed by Reiki 2 followed by Reiki 2 and CTC training in May. And for our USA listeners, I'm coming to Denver, Colorado in June next year, where you can become a CTC therapist as well. So all you need to do is visit my website there for more details. That's joanneantoun.com. Thank you so much, Sarah. I've had a lot of fun chatting with you. It's always a lot of fun getting CTC out there to the world.
Thanks, Jo, and thanks for creating it.
Look, so very proud of you. Love you heaps. So we're at the end of today's show. Thank you so much for joining me. Do join me again for my next show, where I'll have another awesome guest who is sure to motivate and inspire you. If you would like to contact me directly, folks, visit joanneantoun.com. That's JoanneAntoun.com. Or you can hear today's and previous shows again on iTunes. Love and blessings to you all.
You've been listening to Cut the Crap and Start Living the Magic with Joanne Antoun. Tune in every second Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, as Joanne and her specially selected guests inspire you to live each moment of your life with absolute love and passion. Want to connect with Joanne directly? Visit www.joanneantoun.com. That's joanneantoun.com, and find out just how easy it is to heal the past, live in the present, step fully into your power, and easily create the future you desire.